Cancer is often likened to being on a roller coaster, a time of ups and downs. It can be one of the most stressful experiences of a person's life, and coping with cancer can be more challenging with added stress from work, family, and financial concerns. Usual everyday stress can feel more overwhelming at this time. Emotional distress is part of the cancer experience and can occur at different stages along the disease path. It can be a time of loss and uncertainty, lack of control, a confrontation with mortality, coping with the diagnosis and side effects of treatment, and can manifest in a myriad of different emotions, such as stress, anxiety, worry, fear, and sadness. It can also be a time of personal growth, a time of self-discovery and reflection, learning how you navigate a life-changing experience, what helps, and what matters most. We have chosen this topic as part of the Wellbeing offer to help you navigate this challenging and life-changing time in your life, to provide you with information and knowledge that can support you to manage the emotional distress associated with the cancer experience, to increase your coping skills, and to develop your resilience. The topics that are covered today are divided into two parts. Part 1 focuses on the nature of stress, what it is, common signs and symptoms of stress, and how it can be maintained. And Part 2 focuses on coping with stress and developing your resilience in cancer. We have also included some useful online resources for you to draw on now and going forward. So Part 1, what is stress? Stress is a subjective experience. It is generally a response to an external cause or what we call a stressor, and often subsides once the situation has been resolved. It is a biological and psychological process, and as such, it is experienced through our thoughts, feelings, physical or bodily sensations, and actions. When we feel anxious or stressed, our inbuilt stress response is activated, and this is our body's natural and automatic response to sudden or ongoing pressure and challenges, a lack of control, facing difficult or traumatic experiences, or facing real or perceived danger or threat, thus often resulting in feeling weighed down, overwhelmed, stressed, and sometimes stuck. Stress is part of life. We can't get rid of it, but we can develop our capacity to cope with it and become more resilient. Here are a list of the most common signs and symptoms of stress. Emotions on the left, how we feel when we are stressed. Physical or bodily symptoms, what happens in our body when we feel stressed, and behaviours, what we do or how we behave when stressed. You can go through this list in your own time and see do any resonate with you. These symptoms, as well as our thoughts, can all interact with each other, thus causing and maintaining a vicious cycle of stress, often known as the stress spiral. The stress spiral here demonstrates this dynamic process. Remember, the stress response is activated by a specific cause or stressor. For example, the stressor could be attending a hospital appointment to discuss your cancer treatment options. You start to have unhelpful or negative thoughts about the outcome of this appointment, thus triggering the stress response even more. Your body responds in preparation to deal with such uncertainty and threat. A surge of hormones, for example adrenaline, are released. Your muscles might tense up, and your heart might start to race. Feelings of fear, overwhelm, anxiety, and dread persist. And as a response, you may avoid certain situations, put plans off, withdraw from others, push yourself harder, and put yourself under more pressure. Your thoughts and actions may feel helpful at the time, but in fact they can prove unhelpful. The stress levels continue, and this spiral of stress is maintained. I will discuss helpful ways to manage this cycle so that you can intervene at important points and respond in ways that prove helpful. It is important at this point to reiterate that we can't get rid of stress. It's part of being human and it's part of life. However, we can develop our capacity to cope with it. So now that we've looked at what stress is and what can maintain a cycle of ongoing stress, it is time to turn our attention to Part 2, which focuses on managing stress, living with uncertainty, and developing our resilience. So if we take the image of a scales, when we feel stressed, We can feel weighed down with demands, pressures, ongoing challenges, difficult or traumatic experiences, such as a cancer diagnosis and managing side effects to treatment, or worrying, will the treatment work? How will cancer affect my family? And not having much or any control over the outcome of the situation. These are called stressors, and we will talk more about common cancer stressors later on. So how can you balance the scales so that you don't feel so weighed down, overburdened and stressed? Well, you can start by identifying your stressors, drawing on support, increasing your coping skills, managing external pressures, and thus developing your resilience. So you're better at coping with life's challenges and adjusting to difficult situations when they do happen. These can all help you manage stress more effectively and at the same time increase your sense of empowerment and control. So bringing it back to what causes you to feel stressed or what activates your stress response. In other words, your stressors. Identifying your stressors can help to anticipate problems, help you to plan and think of helpful ways to solve them. Can you identify your stressors? And if so, what are they? It is always worth taking time to reflect on events that could be triggering your stress. You might want to do this with a friend or a family member. It can help to talk through it with someone you trust and feel comfortable talking to. Coming up next are some of the most common cancer stressors and fears. For example, having to put plans on hold. You may feel like you are unable to look to the future. Making plans is difficult for many practical reasons. For example, it can be hard to plan a family holiday when you may not know exactly when you will have treatment. You may feel unable to make plans because you cannot predict how you will be feeling. One approach that works well for many people with cancer is to remain flexible and accept that plans may change. Another common fear is fear of treatment and side effects. You may be apprehensive or scared of the possible side effects of treatment, or you may fear becoming dependent on others or missing activities that you enjoy. A common cancer fear of what if cancer will come back. A cancer recurrence is when the cancer returns after treatment. It is a top fear of many cancer survivors. If you worry about this, you may find yourself paying attention to every potential symptom you have. In turn, this can increase your general level of anxiety. When you reflect on what is causing you to feel anxious, worried or stressed, i.e., when you have identified your stressor, you can then try to do something about it. For example, if you are worried or stressed about an upcoming hospital appointment, what is it exactly that is worrying you about it? Is it being on your own and not being able to take in and remember important information? Or is it the uncertainty of the situation? Or a combination of everything? Asking a family member or a friend to accompany you to the appointment could provide both emotional and practical support. However, some of these common cancer stressors and fears start with the words, what if? Which brings us to a very difficult part of the cancer experience, that of living with uncertainty. Acknowledging the unknowns of cancer may make you feel anxious, angry, sad, or afraid. You may even have physical symptoms from these feelings. For instance, it may interrupt sleep or make it harder to concentrate at work. Learning to manage the uncertainty is an important part of staying healthy. Recognize that there are situations that you can control and those that you can't. As hard as it sounds, many people find it helpful to let go of those things that they can't control. For example, what if the cancer comes back? Talk with friends and family members. Tell them how you are feeling and how they can possibly help. And talk with your healthcare team if your feelings of uncertainty are affecting your daily life. They can help you find the resources you need to feel better. Learn as much as you can about cancer and its treatment. Having the right information can help you know what to expect. The worry tree here is a useful resource to draw on to help you differentiate between worries and fears that you can do something about versus those you have to try and let go. It guides you through what you can do when you are facing a worry or concern. And self-compassion. It is integral to health and well-being. Self-compassion is being kind to yourself and compassionate to your physical and emotional pain. Often we can show compassion to others, knowing that it eases human pain and suffering, but we struggle to know that same compassion to ourselves. The science shows us that self-compassion soothes the central nervous system, and therefore it is hugely beneficial to coping with adversity, reducing distress, and navigating difficult life experiences, such as cancer. If you struggle to know how to be self-compassionate, ask yourself, how would I respond to a friend in this situation? What can I do in this moment that helps? And draw on helpful strategies that work for you, such as a walk, reading a book, gardening, or taking a few deep breaths. These are some top tips to reduce stress in general, but especially as someone affected by cancer. It is important to pace yourself, not to overextend yourself, and set realistic and achievable goals, and ask for help. Your body and mind is going through a lot, and adjusting to the changes can support the process more effectively. Examples include: acknowledge your feelings and talk it through with someone you trust. Confide in someone who you can be open with, and it can help deal with emotions. People feel less worried when they often share it with someone they trust. They have found that when they express strong feelings like fear, they're better able to let go of these feelings. Thinking and talking about your feelings can be hard, but if you find cancer is taking over your life, it often helps to find a way to express it. And eat well. Maintaining a healthy diet and getting enough rest will give you more energy to deal with daily stressors. Avoid scheduling conflicts. Use a day planner or calendar to keep track of appointments and activities. When you schedule activities, allow plenty of time to finish one before starting the next. Don't schedule too many activities for the same day or week, especially activities you need to prepare for. If managing your schedule is exhausting, ask someone you trust to help review your appointments. Break down tasks into smaller steps. Sometimes large tasks can be accomplished in smaller steps, so take one at a time. This process can make seemingly overwhelming problems easier to handle. And ask for help. It's also good sense to ask family, friends, co-workers, and your healthcare team for help. People are likely to offer their support, so think about particular tasks you need help with beforehand. People appreciate being able to help in specific ways. For example, family or friends may be able to help with shopping, meal prep, or picking up a child from school. Joining a support group. Support groups offer you the chance to talk about your feelings and fears with others who share and understand your experiences. In current COVID-19 times, many support groups are conducted online. These are some strategies to reduce stress. Nourishing activities are essential to reducing stress. They provide us with a sense of well-being while continuing to nurture a compassionate and therapeutic approach to living with and beyond cancer. The Stress Relief Toolkit is a list of nourishing activities that you can integrate into your daily life and engage in when you are feeling worried or stressed. Exercising regularly, moderate exercise such as a walk several times a week can really help. And always talk with your doctor before you start an exercise schedule. Schedule daily relaxing time. Spend time doing an activity you find relaxing, such as reading a book or listening to music. Get plenty of rest and sleep. Sleep and rest is essential to help the body stay healthy and heal. Try to have a good sleep routine and take naps during the day, especially during and after treatment. Spend time with others, making time to socialize with family or friends, as it is a good way to reduce stress. And take a walk or go outside and get some fresh air. Sunlight, fresh air, and the sounds of nature can help brighten a person's day. And very importantly, do things you enjoy, at least one thing per day. For example, read a book, soak in a bath, watch your favorite TV show. Find things that make you smile or laugh. Humor and laughter reduces stress, so watch a comedy or read a heartwarming book. This acronym STOP can be a helpful reminder of how to respond with compassion and curiosity to your stress, and enable you to cope with it in a very helpful way. So when feeling stressed, stop and take a step back. Pause and take a moment. Take a breath. Notice your breath as you breathe in and out. Observe, what am I thinking and feeling? pull back and practice what helps. Is this thought helping me? What would I say to someone else in this situation? Refer to the worry tree. What can I do with this worry? Draw on your stress relief toolkit, resources, supports. So if we look at the stress spiral reframed, as we incorporate all that we've covered so far, we can see the stress spiral is reframed. If we think back to the stress spiral at the beginning of this talk, which unhelpfully maintained an ongoing cycle of stress, and reframe the spiral in a way that incorporates all that we talked about today, and hence responds to your emotional distress in a helpful, curious and compassionate way, thus creating a spiral that proves soothing and nourishing to your health and well-being. Remember what happens when the stress response is activated and the link between thoughts, feelings, body sensations and behaviours. Often a few deep breaths or a movement can calm the stress response and allow you to take that moment of pause to respond in a helpful and compassionate manner. In conclusion, it can take time to adjust to what many describe life as a new normal. Acknowledge what you are going through. Be kind and compassionate to yourself. Listen to your body and give yourself time to heal and adjust. Take time to gradually rebuild trust and confidence in your body and mind. Focus on your achievements and acknowledge all the positive things you have done. Give yourself time to reflect, process and reevaluate, and use your energy to focus on wellness and what you can do now to stay as healthy as possible. I hope you can integrate much of what we discussed into your daily life so that you can reduce your stress, develop your resilience and optimize your health and well-being. Here are some useful resources that can help with your emotional and physical well-being. The Macmillan website is full of helpful information and knowledge that you can access online. Many of the mindfulness resources can be downloaded onto your phone and some run free trials. Take your time going through these resources and see what helps you and can meet your individual needs. Thank you very much for your time today. From my team and I, we wish you all the very best.